What's up, y'all? It's your boy back again for another video. And I'm gonna kind of freestyle this today. I was just like, man, I ain't made a video in a couple days, and I really don't know what to talk about. I guess I could talk about the introduction for Stan Van Gundy, but plenty of people have already done that, and I think it'd be cliche. I don't think y'all necessarily want to hear me talk about Stan Van Gundy, even though I've kind of already touched on it. And all he really did was just reiterate the stuff that I'd already been saying anyway. So, I don't think that'd be fun. Um, but Lonzo's birthday was a couple days ago, so there's that. He's 23 years old, and I know I used to always tell people you cannot judge a point guard prospect until they're around the ages of like 23 to 25. And that's because that's when their experience at the position starts to culminate and start to blossom. Now, granted, he's had some injuries and he ain't had as much time as most other point guards. You can start to see it, in the game a little bit. So he's right on schedule. Yeah, I like my Starbucks. So, but yeah, he's right on schedule in my eyes as far as growing as a player. Now, what has hurt him is he hadn't been able to develop that offense, and it's funny. Like literally before I started doing this, I was listening to Gilbert Arenas talk with Darren Collinson, and they were talking about one of the questions that was popped up by Darren Collison. And he was like, which would you rather have, or which is better, a pass first point guard or a scoring point guard? And Gilbert thought about it. He was like, it depends on your team. And Darren Collison agreed. And I agreed, because that's what I was thinking in my head. It's like, you can't tell me what point, if I don't know what the parts around me is, I can't tell you what I need. I don't think either or. I don't think a pass point guard is necessarily better than a scoring point guard or blah blah blah. But there was something that was said that I think I do agree with to some extent, and this does apply to Lonzo. Now they were talking about this, and and it was like, okay, I think it's easier for a scorer point guard to become a playmaker or passer than it is for a passer to become a scorer. And I gotta say something. I kind of agree with that. Some of these guys are getting better at passing, but we can take a look at someone like Ja Morant. Like, Ja Morant was making plays all over the court. Now, do I consider him a passer? No. But his ability, it goes back to a video I made not too long ago. And I was talking about you have to draw threat. If you play any kind of RPG, call it tanking or drawing aggro. But you gotta draw aggro. And if you can't draw threat to you, you can't make the plays that you need to make. So if you're the point guard, you go attack the basket and nobody's gonna come out the way to defend you, what was the purpose of your action? It's like a chess game. You gotta know what your gravity is doing and how they're viewing you, and how to pull certain pieces in a certain way to get certain things to happen. This is all the stuff that a point guard has to think about that maybe other positions don't necessarily have to be intuitive about. So in regards to Lonzo Ball can go attack the basket, and we're all like, this nigga ain't gonna make no layup. This nigga ain't gonna make his jump shot. And they're like, we ain't worried about it. He may beat this man off the dribble, but we're not gonna commit. But Ja Morant in that situation, Ja Morant can't pass like Lonzo, and he's going to miss the passes that Lonzo can make. But the thing is, Ja Morant can pull so much attention that he don't need to make those same passes. He just needs to make the easy one for the easy bucket. And at the end of the day, that's effective for your team. Now, Lonzo in the open court, which Lonzo kind of remind me of Reggie Bush for the Saints. Yes, I'm a Saints fan. I know somebody, I can't remember who it is. Somebody was talking to me on one of my videos about, if I was going to talk about the Saints. I am a Saints fan. I'm formerly from Louisiana, not New Orleans, but Reggie Bush was my favorite player. Uh, and Reggie Bush was always like, "Oh, if he gets in an open court, he's open field, he's dangerous," which he was. Um, but I'll talk about that whole thing because I got a whole argument about that. But yeah, football. I'm not as privy on football as I am basketball. I love basketball more, but I know a little bit about football. But I ain't gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm the expert. Listen to me," But that's what Lonzo kind of reminds me. Like, it's like in the open court, he's really dangerous, really fucking dangerous. But one of the things I've been adamant about is his mid range, which I think is still a great jump shot to take in the league today, and I think it's a necessary one. I just think you got to be able to hit at all three levels like KD, because my thing is, okay, look at it like James Harden. James Harden is going to either attack the basket or he's going to shoot the three. But you don't have to worry about him in the mid range so much, even if he can knock it down. So it makes it easier as a defender. You're like, okay, James Harden is either going to take this jump shot or attack the basket. I just have to keep my hands up, keep body on him, don't foul him when he does his silly little flop in and step back. And if I can put enough pressure on him to force him to attack, even if he gets past me, I can recover hard and interfere with his shot. I don't have to worry about, him stopping for the mid-range jumper. And my big understands this too. So all he has to do is just offer a little bit of contest, and that could affect the shot, and we won that play. Great. But when you're dealing with someone like Kevin Durant, it's like, okay, Kevin can hit me from three. He can attack the basket. He can hit the mid range. Then he can post you up. Then there's not a shot he can shoot you on the left side, right? Like, he's effective on either side of the court. So it's not like, okay, we can push him to his left and and we can get him that. No, maybe make him use his left dribble a little bit more. No, his handle. No, he's got everything. It's like there isn't a place on the court Kevin Durant can't work from. And so you see, it's much harder as a defense because it's just like, what the fuck do we do with him? How do we stop this guy? He's just, he could do everything. We just have to pick something to live with. Do we want to live with him? If we're gonna take away all the paint in the mid range, we're just gonna make him shoot threes. He can still hit those at like 38%, which is good. And he can hit that off the dribble. So we're gonna have to commit to taking away something, but hopefully he don't catch fire and just start going like 10 for 10 for three, whatever. But anyway, as this applies to Lonzo and to that conversation, Lonzo working on his mid range, we've seen the videos and stuff, it's gonna bode well for him going forward. But I think, and I guess, I don't know. I guess when I think back of what the title of this video, it might just be about just a general basketball video, but I don't know, man. It's just I'm pissed off at the state of the league right now. It's like, I'm a guy. I like offense. I like good defense. I like good team basketball, but I like a lot of the little nuanced things in the game. Like, I'm mad that we don't see as many post players. Like, Hakeem is probably my favorite. Yeah, Hakeem is my favorite center of all time. I like that rough, gritty, back to the basket, footwork, textbook, off, all that stuff is amazing to me. The mid-range jumpers that Jordan used to kill everybody with, especially later in his career. I love that stuff. And I hate that analytics has made that stuff like, oh, you shouldn't take that shot. It's not that you shouldn't take that shot. It's just you hadn't practiced that shot to the point that it's as effective as the others. Now, I get it. You'll say that extra point is valuable, but my thing is, it's not that extra point is valuable. What it is if you miss it, you missed it. But if you make it, it's like, well, if maybe if you took another step back, you could have got an extra point. But the problem is that's not how the psychology of the court works. In psychology of the court, like I gave you the example with Harden, if you and I'm sorry, I'm at my job at school. They doing band practice, so if you hear the music in the background, that shit is. But Harden, he attacks from three or the perimeter or attacks the paint. You got a whole space in the mid range. KD can attack from any of those spots. Much harder to defend. I'm a Mavericks fan from my core. Dirk was my favorite, player for the longest time. Dirk could hit you from all three levels, and he had the footwork and the technique and everything else. So basically, the more effective you are is just being able to attack at all three levels. With Lonzo, and this is why I always said Lonzo's growth is going to come from mid-range, and he got the three. Even if he don't improve his three, well, he just shoot 37%, that's fine. But that mid-range jumper, and obviously attacking at the rim, but that mid-range, because they guard him worse than they guard Harden, because they know he's not going to make the layup, so they don't even have to commit the big. It's just kind of like if you got a long enough big, you just stick one hand out at Lonzo, just I'm contested, keep your body on your dude. So for Lonzo, the thing is, okay, he can make a lot of money this season if he starts off of the season pick and roll. Okay, they crash, and he just starts pulling up jumpers. He starts hitting 50% of those, because now his scoring is going to go up, and then the scouting report is going to say, okay, Lonzo can hit mid ranges, send him attacking to the basket. Well, if he just hit those layups and stuff at a high clip, now it's like, okay, how do we stop this dude? And they're going to commit to him harder, thus the gravity, the aggro, and now Lonzo IQ kicks in. It's like, okay, how do I bully y'all? Okay, your big has come off me here. Here, Jackson Hayes, take this. Okay, I pulled from the weak side because I started on my left, dribbled around. I pulled from the shoot guard position. There you go, B.I. B.I. attacks the basket. B.I. gets the foul and one, and he gets the free throws. If he can start pulling threat from all over the court, it's gonna do him well. It's gonna do the team well. But I mean, just some of the players I mentioned, like I said, if you can shoot from all over the court, like, you're instantly better. It's like, it's better to have the skill set than not. It's one of the reasons why DeMar DeRozan wasn't that good. DeMar DeRozan can shoot mid-range, and he's very good at it, but he can't shoot the three ball. So they're just going to pack the paint against him. If he could just space the floor just a little bit, he'd be better. T-Mac could hit you from three, from two, anywhere. That's why he was effective. I'm going to use Kobe, even though I don't like Kobe as an example, because Kobe's shooting percentages were terrible, because he would take bad shots. He would be in his space, but he would take the bad shots that he shouldn't have taken, and he could have made a better basketball play. But that was just Kobe, because Kobe shot like 44% from the field for his career, which to me is low, like especially for a superstar player, and like 34, 33%, 35% from three, something like that, whatever. But granted, threes wasn't the main thing back then, but Dirk kind of revolutionized that stuff. He started pulling up, making threes. But anyway, it's when you have all of that stuff to be concerned about as a defender, the job of defending you becomes harder. It's why a lot of the older guys say they hated defending Kobe, because his toolbox was so vast and so deep. He could literally get a shot from anything, anywhere. No dribble, two dribbles, a dribble, off ball. He could do it all. And that's what makes you a better scorer in this league. And I think, like, unless you're physically imposing like Ben Simmons is 6'10", 240, a 6'11". Like, unless you're like LeBron and them and you don't need all that, you can just bully, foul. Unless you could just bully your way into a play, you need to have the versatility. Like even Steph, if y'all go look at Steph in the playoffs would take more mid-range jumpers, and he would hit them at a high rate. And he's open to taking mid-range jumpers. Like he'll take it if you give it to him, which is what makes Steph such an elite, cerebral, and smart player. Even though it's hard to get him because he plays off the ball. He's always moving his jumpers so quick. It's very hard to pin him down. But that like if I was gonna train a young guy coming into a league like a LaMelo, some of these other cats, I would work on I would drill into their head. Look, you're gonna take every shot. And I would also teach them post, like, and I think that's something that's slept on. Like, if you got a tall guard or a strong guard, you should be able to play in the post, and you can dictate the pace of the game by slowing it down too if you need to, and you can beat up on your opposing guards, and it'll make it easier for you late game. But yeah, I would LaMelo, man. You gonna take mid ranges. You're gonna attack the basket. We're gonna put some more stuff in your mid range toolbox. We're gonna teach you how to post up. We're gonna teach you how to post up because at 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", when you're guarding 6'3" Steph Curry can't do shit with you. And they're gonna try to hide him on defense, but we just gonna switch, and you might have to guard Clay, but you're faster than Clay. It's a mismatch. You're faster, longer than Clay. He can't keep up with you. And they may put Draymond on you. Draymond is smarter, he's stronger, and while he's a little bit slow-footed, his technique is a lot better. He's going to be a little bit harder to score on, but if you can pull him out to the perimeter, you can make plays for everybody else on the team. So their core, you could cook their core in a series, and that'll be beneficial to you. And it's not just them, it's with any other team. And there'll be some matchups he'd have that'd be hard. Like, if he had to guard, if AD was guarding him, that's AD. Giannis, like some of these guys are just ridiculous. Ben Simmons on defense, like some of the guys, you're just not going to, they're just blessed. You're just not going to be able to do anything with them. But some of these guys coming in, if I was the coach, I'd be like, hey, man, have you ever thought about posting up? I'd show them how it would benefit them, and I'd show them the matchups where they could win and how they could get their money, and I'd show them how it would help them in the playoffs. And I'll say, look, you don't have to post up the entire game, but if you get tired and you want to kind of like relax and slow the game down, and you can still make your plays and still hoop, especially to extend the career and play longer and make you more effective, we're going to add this into your game, and you could just whip it out whenever you need to, especially if it's a game and you really need to get the W and you don't need to come out. Maybe you got to find other ways to play the game. That's what MJ did. MJ, he would play long minutes at some stretches, but he would play the game differently to rest his body while he was actually playing. But that's just me. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to make a quick video. This is more of a ramble. I don't know what I'm gonna call this video. I'll figure it out. This, like I said, this is just a general ass basketball video. And I didn't want to talk about Stan. I think it's way too much. It's way too much brouhaha on Stan right now, and a lot of people are starting to flip, and a lot of people are still pissed off at the stuff he said. But I look at it like this: I wouldn't mind a season of Joe playing shoot guard. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of y'all gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Lonzo is always gonna have his passing gift. He's always gonna have it. It's never gonna go away. But what if we made Lonzo a shooting guard all season? Hear me out before y'all be like, "Oh fuck this nigga." And the entire season, he's just using it as practice, working on his scoring. And then by the end of the season, let's just say he starts off at the season, maybe his scoring is like 13 points per game. And then by the end of the season, he's like, oh, he looks like an all-star scoring the ball. Then the next season, you can put all of it together and everything. So personally, me, because the West is going to be a dogfight, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs either way. We'll see. because there's going to be some trades and some things going on. We'll have to see. Some teams may decide to rebuild, like OKC, and Memphis may fall off. You know what I'm saying? But there's Portland, who should be there if they're healthy, and Golden State should be there, and all that other stuff. But if he plays off the ball for a year, or he's playing as a scorer, and he's put in the work this offseason to score, I would be okay if by the end of the season he can go get you 18 points per game. Let's just say his stat line was like 18, 5, and 5. I don't know if that's a max contract necessarily, but imagine him having all of that stuff, the scoring, like he got the confidence in the scoring, and then the next season you're like, okay, you're full-time point guard, you can do all the scoring, you can carry the scoring load, and you can facilitate. Now he's got confidence to do it all, versus, okay, set up the play. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and use, Hezi into whatever, or spin move, blah blah blah. Now it's like, okay, they're looking for you for buckets. He's honed the mindset of attacking, which is what he really needs. And now that he's honed that mindset, it's a part of him along with the passing. I think, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it because, like I said, I don't think they're going to make a playoff, so this is a development year probably. I wouldn't have an issue if he ran at the 2 guard, if he's going to be taking like 14, 15, 16 shots a game, and his goal is to attack. Like the entire season, you're like, your goal is to strike. That's important for him. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Now, if you're just telling me, Alonzo's just going to stand around the court, shoot threes, he's not going to move, he's just going to play defense, I'd be okay with him playing 3 and D to some degree too, because I think you got to be able to play all the positions. You got to be able to know all the positions. But if it's just solely he's not going to have any role on the team, which is bullshit, then yeah, I wouldn't trip about that. I think he just has to get that mindset, and the only way to get that mindset is through repetition. You can't sit there and say, okay, I'm going to have him, he needs to attack the ball, he needs to attack with the ball, but his whole thing is, hey, we need you to facilitate. Like, you need to tell him, look, we need you to get you in the mindset of every time you get the ball, attack. And I would say, look, for the entire game, you're not to pass the ball. If you pass the ball, you come around the bench. And you're going to attack. You're going to be offense. But, I don't know. Like I said, that's just me. Like I said, it's just Ramble. I kind of all over the place. I just wanted to make a video. Had made one a couple days, and like I said, I didn't want to focus too much on Lonzo. I didn't want to focus too much on Stan. I mentioned Kobe, Dirk, and a couple others, and just general basketball stuff. But like I said, I didn't want to sit here and focus too much on all that other shit. It's enough of that going on. If you guys are gonna follow me, I kind of don't want to just give you the same old shit. And even before I started doing these basketball videos, which is where bulk of my followers have come from, I had other videos on stuff. So I'll probably start getting back into some of that other stuff going forward, because there's a lot of things I have interest in. Black male empowerment, for one, money, finance, debt, all kinds of stuff. And then we can maybe have conversations on other things too. And I'm always talking basketball. Basketball, my thing. I love basketball. I'll talk basketball with anybody as long as they know what the fuck they talk about. But it's just to give y'all something to look forward to for right now. I promise I'll have something better for y'all in the future. Probably maybe tomorrow. I might make another video today, especially if some news comes out on some shit. But I ain't gonna talk about nothing. Houston hiring Silas, I ain't care. Shit, I don't think y'all care either. So, but anyways, it's your boy. Peace. Have a good one.